Cork's Red FM.
104 to 106.
It's damaging everybody connected with Irish professional football. It's not just the uncertainty, it's not just the amateurish behaviour. It's the damage done to good people like the players and supporters of Cork City, but also people around the country who love all elements of sport. To have Cork City in the news on an ongoing basis, week after week, in such an appalling manner, doesn't do anybody associated with the club any good. And it's about time it stopped.
It got to breaking point with the wages issue during the week when the City players are paid just before they had to travel to take on the league leaders. It's farcical, isn't it?
It's absolutely not to be farcical, because it seems everything is left till the last moment. The players have to wait and wait and wait. Nothing happens. Then they have to push and push and push before something happens. Stephen McGuinness has to be brought down from the PFA in Dublin. It's all over the newspapers, all on the radio and television, and then something is done. It's almost as if somebody is loving and revelling in the publicity. Although it's bad publicity, some people just seem to think, well, there's no such thing as bad publicity. But the situation this week, to me, became completely and utter farce, because the players are ready to come and play a very important game in Dublin. And then we had one player scampering into town to see his wages into the bank. And up here in Dublin, people just can't make head nor tail of it. Clubs have hit financial difficulties all over the country, but everywhere there is a sense of decency about the difficulties that most clubs are facing. People work together, players talk to the board of directors, they sort things out between them, and everything seems to be happening in the right way, if not a satisfactory manner, certainly in the right manner. But not in Cork City Football Club. And this week they came to Dublin, and the players produced a magnificent performance under the most under the most difficult of conditions. And I think they impressed everybody, and they show the character and the temperament and the integrity that they have for their own football club and for the league itself. And I feel this sort of character has to be reflected by everybody at the club, and particularly the owner, Tom Collin.
Yeah, it's revelling maybe is the wrong word for describing Tom Collin at the moment, but you were writing in the Mail this morning, you were very, very critical of him.
Yes, the chairman is the most important person in the football club. He sets the tone. The whole atmosphere of the club emanates from the behaviour and the professionalism of the chairman. Even the manager sets in behind the chairman's lead, and he does his job. If the lead is positive and if it's vibrant, everybody believes in the future of the football club, and people can actually start a role and contemplating success. They can lay plans for success. The supporters feel confidence in the players, they feel confidence in the board of directors, they feel great confidence in the chairman. That's a club of consequence. If that is not happening, if the chairman is not giving proper leadership, then what you get is doubt and uncertainty. And in that doubt and uncertainty, people start doing their own things or do nothing at all. Lethargy sets in, and then what can happen is disarray becomes part of the whole club. Tom Collin obviously does not understand how professional football clubs operate. I have the impression now he doesn't even understand the sort of mentality of people associated with professional football clubs. If that's the case, then he should get people into the club who do understand what that mentality is and the way it has to be organised to bring that success. Cork City showed on Tuesday night they still have a team of consequence. I feel for Paul Doolan and Tommy Dunn and all the players. I was in Cork last Friday for the Bohemians game. I felt for all the supporters. I could feel the anger, the disappointment, and I could feel the cynicism set in. And when cynicism sets in, I think then you're on the road to ruin. And I'm just urge Tom. I've met him a couple of times. He seems a plausible individual. I urge him to come out as soon as he possibly can with a plan that will show he understands professional football and has a viable chance of success in the future. If he cannot do that, he must bring somebody else in who can do it, whether he stays there and brings people in or whether he goes and brings somebody else in. I think the situation is becoming so serious now that if it's not handled properly, if it's not improved, if it's not rectified, there could be serious consequences for this wonderful football club.
Because at the moment, you could get the feeling that this club could go the way of such illustrious Cork clubs as Hibs and Celtic, the way it's going at the moment, couldn't you?
You could easily, because this club has been, it's a young football club, only since 1984 has it been in existence. And in that time, it has had very, very good success, but more importantly, it has touched the hearts and the minds and the imaginations of people not only around Ireland, but across Europe with the performances in European competition. And many players are playing at a high level in England who've come through Cork City Football Club. There is enormous progression for young talent into Cork City Football Club. Alan Bennett is a classic example of that. And if you look at people like Doyle and O'Donovan and that, you think, well, this is a football club that is seriously consequential in the art of professional football. And this has to be reflected in the way the club is run. If it's not reflected, then the football club can disappear very, very quickly. If that happens, all the people connected with that club over the last 25 years, their efforts will have been for nothing. And you know, as a football supporter, and everybody listening to this who understands football supporters, it's not just the club they support, it's part of their lives. It's part of the dreams they have, the very future of what everything Cork stands for in the sporting sense. And I'm just urging Tom Collin to come and listen to people who understand the game, see what he can do, the best he can do, and if he feels that the best he can do for Cork Football Club will guarantee the future of that club, then let's hear those plans. If he cannot convince people like me and people like yourself and all the Cork City fans, then he really has to step aside. He inherited a very, very difficult situation. I accept that totally. The Akaga Group made a mess of Cork City. Tom thankfully stepped in, kept the club going, and he deserves great respect, and you'll get my thanks for that forever. But I really would like to see him do the right thing and the honourable thing by the football club, and only Tom can do that. He must look at the situation very, very seriously.
You mentioned the supporters' anger earlier, Damien. At least this time the supporters' anger seems to be concentrated into Forest, who are doing very, very productive things off the field.
Yes, I mean, you see what's happening at Shamrock Rovers, that the supporters there have kept the club alive through, 20-odd years of very difficult times. Now, I will have to say, there's only one Shamrock Rovers. They have a very unique club that down through the years, they survived. I don't think any other club in the country could have survived. But it just gives people an inkling of what the future could be for Cork City and other clubs. But I have to say, using Tom as an example, it's very important, whoever takes over the football club or whoever is running the football club, that they understand what professional football is all about. They can back that understanding with a business sense of propriety, a business sense of organisation, that they can run off-the-field activities to a very high degree. And most important of all, they have to understand the media and the supporters. Now, I've got to be convinced by anybody coming into the club that they understand and can put all those things in operation. You cannot do it just with good intentions from the heart. You cannot do it based purely on your dreams. You have to do it in a realistic, harsh world that professional football actually is. It needs experience, it needs understanding, it needs great degree of patience, but most important of all, it needs an organisational ability that not too many people have. So this football club can be back where it rightfully should be, at the top level of Irish football club, winning things on a regular basis, but it needs experienced, professional, understanding, talented people running it. And whoever takes over this football club must be able to supply all those matters.
Cork's Red FM 104 to 106.